WordPress.com versus WordPress.org. What are some of the differences, and which of the two might be right for you? The first difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org that I'd like to point out is that WordPress.com is a place where you can obtain WordPress and WordPress hosting. In fact, if you choose WordPress.com, your web host will be WordPress.com, and that's it. There's no other choice. WordPress.org is a free open source program that you can download and install. WordPress.org is what you'd be using if you want to use your own choice of web hosts besides WordPress.com. For example, if you go with a web hosting solution with InMotion Hosting or SiteGround or A2 Hosting or Liquid Web or DigitalOcean or Vultr, Google Cloud Services, Amazon Lightsail, and a number of other options out there, and you want to use WordPress, you'll be using WordPress.org. WordPress.com offers a free plan as well as multiple different levels of paid plans. WordPress.com bills annually, and so if you were to upgrade from the free plan and go to the personal plan, it's $4 a month. But you will be billed annually, so you'll pay $48. Premium plan's going to end up costing $8 a month or $96 a year. Business plan is $25 a month or $300 a year. And the e-commerce plan is $45 a month or about $540 a year. With the various WordPress.com plans, you will get an SSL certificate, whether you're using the free plan or any of the paid plans. On the free plan, you'll get access to dozens of themes, which is all right. It's a free plan after all. However, when you're using WordPress.org, you'll have the opportunity to use the free version of any number of 7,000 themes currently available in the WordPress repository. WordPress.com free plan will place ads on your site, and of course, you won't have your own custom domain, so you're going to have somesite.wordpress.com as your web address for your web page. The WordPress.com premium plan at $96 a year will allow you access to additional premium themes and page layouts and templates. If you go all the way up to the business plan or e-commerce plan at $300 a year or $540 a year, respectively, you'll be able to upload your own themes. You'll also be able to upload your own plugins, though there are some limitations to what plugins you can use with WordPress.com. There are some incompatible plugins with WordPress.com that they won't allow you to use, and they talk about a number of them here on their incompatible plugin article. When you are on the business plan at $300 a year, you're going to get access to the plugins in the WordPress repository, and there are more than 50,000 plugins in the WordPress repository, as well as the ability to upload plugins. When it comes to caching plugins, they say that those are, for the most part, not compatible and won't work. And WordPress.com has server-side caching so that you don't actually need a caching plugin. You'll see that they list a number of caching plugins that specifically don't work with the WordPress.com infrastructure, and those are listed here: Cache Enabler, Comet Cache, Hyper Cache, Powered Cache, JCH Optimize, Quick Cache, W3 Total Cache, WP Cache, WP Fastest Cache, WP Rocket, WP Speed of Light, WP Super Cache, SG Optimizer, which is from SiteGround, Fast Velocity, Minify, and the Breeze WordPress Cache plugin. Some other types of plugins that you won't be able to use at WordPress.com include backup plugins. WordPress.com has its own backup solution through Jetpack Backups, and where backup plugins are concerned, WordPress.com explicitly does not allow other backup plugins. There are also SQL or database heavy plugins that WordPress.com doesn't allow you to use, and some of those examples include another WordPress classifieds plugin, Broken Link Checker, Leads, Native Ads Add Now, Page Visit Counter, Post Views Counter, Token Add, Top 10, User Pro, WordPress popular posts, WP Server, which is a security plugin, WP Inject, WP Post Views, and WP Statistics. Moving on to other incompatible plugins with WordPress.com, we see database and file system altering plugins are also limited or not allowed. And we see a number of examples listed here, such as Advanced Database Cleaner, Advanced Reset WP, Advanced WP Reset, ARI Adminer, Database Browser, Extended WordPress Reset, File Manager, Advanced File Manager, Hide My WP, Plugins Garbage Collector, Reset WP, Secure File Manager, Ultimate WP Reset, WordPress Database Reset, WordPress File Upload, WordPress Reset, WP Clean Fix, WP Config File Editor, WP DB Manager, WP File Manager, WP Prefix Changer, WP Reset, WP Uninstaller by AZ, WPMU Database Reset, and Z Inventory Manager. There are some email plugins that they will not allow you to use at WordPress.com, including email broadcasting, Mail It, Send Email from Admin. Some automated content plugins are also not going to be something that you can use with WordPress.com. Octo, Looks, Scrapes, WP RSS Aggregator, RSS Feed to Post, Word AI Aggregator, WooZone, WZone, WP Automatic, WP Modico, RSS Feed Fetcher, WP Robot 5, WP Inject. And then they have plugins that they've simply put into the miscellaneous category, including the Adult Mass Photos Downloader, Adult Mass Videos Downloader, AR Member, Automatic Video Posts, Auto Optimize, iThemes Pro, BWP Minify, CDN Enabler, CF7 Pipeline Integration, Clearfy, Cornerstone. And by the way, iThemes Pro is a security plugin, kind of like the previously mentioned WP Server, which is another security plugin. Cornerstone is a page builder. They will also not allow you to disable XML RPC, which sometimes people want to do for security reasons. Easy Username Changer, Easy Username Updater, Event Espresso, Facet WP Manipulator, Google CAPTCHA, and a number of others. The Nginx helper, I recognize that's one that I currently use, as my hosting has server-side caching, and I use the Nginx helper to help keep the server-side caching updated in a timely fashion when I am working on existing content on my site. Really Simple SSL is another fairly popular plugin that some people will use to help them enable SSL certificates on their site so that they don't have to go into the database and other areas to enable it themselves manually. Shield Security for WordPress, that's another security plugin. WordFence, which is another very popular security plugin, which is not allowed to be used with WordPress.com. Now, it's fair to mention that depending on what WordPress.org host you go with, there may also be some incompatible plugins. And there are certainly plugins that aren't well coded and don't always run that well, just in general, whether you're allowed to use it or not. Depending on your choice of WordPress.org web hosts, there can be limitations, and we'll talk about some examples of some of those limitations now. One example of WordPress.org web hosting that does have banned or incompatible plugins would be Kinsta. Here we see a post from Kinsta where they talk about their stance and their feelings on having to ban certain plugins, and then they go on to talk about some of the plugins which are not allowed on the Kinsta platform. First up are some caching plugins, which Kinsta states will deteriorate performance and in most cases don't work on the Kinsta platform. We already have different types of server-level caching implemented, both object caching and page caching, which is much better than any plugin can do on a PHP level. Plugins run from the PHP level, by the way, and they do give a few examples of some caching plugins that you wouldn't use with Kinsta, including Cache Enabler, Lightspeed Cache, WP Fastest Cache. And they give you an example of one that does work, which would be WP Rocket version 3.0 or higher. The caching portion of WP Rocket would be disabled with Kinsta, but you'd still be able to use WP Rocket for optimization of other items. And that's also an important distinction to point out, is that caching plugins for WordPress, they don't just build page cache. They also typically have other optimization features besides just caching. Another type of plugin not allowed at Kinsta falls under the category of backup plugins. Kinsta backs up your site automatically on a daily basis, and those backups are downloadable. You can use another backup solution with Kinsta, but it has to be an incremental backup solution. Things that do full backups are not allowed at Kinsta. So just an example of some backup plugins that Kinsta would not allow you to use include all-in-one WP migration, Backup Buddy, Back WP Up, Snapshot, Updraft Plus, WP DB Backup, and WP DB Backup Made. Some examples of some incremental backups that Kinsta will allow include VaultPress, WP Time Capsule, Manage WP, and Blog Vault. If you're going to use WordPress.org and you are looking to narrow your choices of WordPress.org web hosting, I suggest that you do a little research into that web host when it comes to what plugins are not allowed, especially if you have a very good idea as to what plugins you want to use, in order to be sure that you don't have a design or a setup in mind which you won't be able to use at the web host that you're thinking about buying into. Also keep in mind that not all plugins and not all themes are well coded. So some won't be supported very well, some won't run very well, some will be more bloated than others, some will be slower than others, some might be less secure than others. So disallowed or blocked plugins aren't always a bad thing, although oftentimes the reason that a plugin is blocked is not necessarily because it's poorly written. It's oftentimes just simply a conflict with the web host for one reason or another. When deciding between WordPress.com and WordPress.org, personally, I choose WordPress.org. If you have a very simple site and you're going to use the free plan or the personal plan or the premium plan, WordPress.com is certainly viable. It's still viable even if you want to go with the business or e-commerce plan. It's just not the choice that I would make. To be able to use your own themes and your own plugins that you get to upload, it's going to cost you no less than $300 a year with WordPress.com. In addition to that, WordPress.com does not allow you your choice of backup solutions. You get to use Jetpack backups, and that is it. Fortunately, WordPress.com does allow you to download copies of your backups, so that's one plus. But you won't be able to use Manage WP, Main WP, Updraft Plus, WP Vivid, Blog Vault. Any other backup solution will not be an option with WordPress.com. The upside of using WordPress.com on the free, personal, or premium plan is that you basically get a managed WordPress host, or at least a somewhat managed WordPress host, where you don't have to worry nearly as much about security and certain optimization tweaks. However, as soon as you start thinking about going to the business plan or e-commerce plan at $300 a year or $540 a year, at that point, I would start to wonder why you don't get your own VPS or go with a premium managed WordPress host like Kinsta or explore any number of other options. I will also say that over the years, working with WordPress and being a member of various WordPress groups, there are two very common questions where WordPress.com and WordPress.org are mentioned. Those two very common questions are, number one, what is the difference between WordPress.com and WordPress.org? And the second, probably even more common question is, how do I migrate from WordPress.com to WordPress.org?